Why do so many gifted kids grow up feeling empty, paralyzed, and strangely out of sync with the world? They were the ones who stood out, praised for their brilliance, told they were destined for great things. And yet, as adults, many find themselves quietly unraveling. They can't get started. They can't follow through. They drift through life watching others move with purpose, while they feel like spectators in their own story. It doesn't make sense on the surface. They're still intelligent, still capable. But beneath that, there's a numbness, a disconnection. And the worst part, they don't know how to explain it. This isn't about laziness. It isn't about failure. It's about a survival strategy that worked in childhood and then quietly turned into a trap. So, let's talk about how this happens, and more importantly, how to escape it. When we're young, our identities are simple. We cling to a few traits or labels to make sense of who we are. Maybe we're the funny kid, the shy kid, the one who loves dinosaurs. It's innocent, and it works. But when a child is repeatedly told, "You're so smart," something more complicated starts to form. That label becomes central to how they define themselves. Smart becomes not just a compliment, but a condition for being worthy. Praise is showered when things come easily, when the puzzle is solved fast, when the answer is right the first time. And slowly, a dangerous belief takes root. If I'm smart, it shouldn't be hard. At first, this belief feels empowering. School is easy, tasks are effortless. They begin to coast on natural talent. But life doesn't stay that easy. Eventually, they hit something they can't breeze through, a difficult subject, a messy social interaction, a real-world challenge that doesn't have a clear answer. And when that moment comes, it doesn't feel like growth. It feels like failure. Because somewhere along the way, struggle became incompatible with identity. If I were really smart, I wouldn't be stuck. So they stop trying. They retreat. They avoid anything that might prove them wrong. They play small to protect the image. The world starts to shrink. They don't speak up unless they're sure. They abandon hobbies they're not instantly good at. They shy away from unfamiliar experiences, not because they're uninterested, but because they're terrified of being bad at them. Over time, the comfort zone becomes a cage. Other people are out there experimenting, failing, growing. But the former gifted kid is frozen, waiting for certainty, waiting to feel perfect before they act. And life does not wait. It's not just about work or ambition. This mindset infects connection too, because relationships are messy. They require vulnerability, awkwardness, shared effort. But if your self-worth depends on being smooth, composed, correct, you avoid those moments. You stay outside the group. You observe instead of engage. You analyze instead of connect. You develop cognitive empathy, understanding emotions logically without ever really feeling with others. It works. Kind of. You can mimic connection. You might seem charming, but underneath it there's a hollowness. Because you're not showing yourself, you're playing a role. And being known requires risk, the exact thing your identity is trained to avoid. So, you turn inward. You use your brain to try to fix the pain. You analyze your habits. You research why you're stuck. You write endless journal entries trying to think your way to self-worth. But here's the truth. You cannot logic your way out of emotional hunger. Being smart doesn't make you immune to needing love, connection, and purpose. And intelligence is a poor substitute for those things. Worse, it can become a barrier. Because every time you feel uncertain, you treat it like a problem to be solved instead of an experience to be lived. Eventually, the ego steps in with one final defense. I don't belong because I'm different. You start to believe the story that you are too deep for others, too complex to relate, too exceptional to connect. Not because you believe it deep down, but because it hurts less than saying, "I feel left out." That story becomes a fortress. It protects you from rejection, but it also keeps you locked inside your own mind, isolated, lonely, stagnant. So, how do we escape? The answer isn't to reject intelligence. It's to unhook your identity from it. You have to stop trying to be smart and start learning how to grow. You stop asking, "Will I look impressive?" and start asking, "Will this help me become more human?" You let yourself struggle. You try things and let yourself be bad at them. You speak even when you're not sure. You let go of perfect. And yes, it will feel like dying. But that's just the old identity falling away. You are not here to preserve an image. You are here to live. The new identity is softer. It's braver. It says, I don't have to be exceptional to be worthy. I don't have to be right to be loved. I don't have to understand everything to take the next step. Being human is enough, and from that foundation, you build again. You connect, not by impressing people, but by standing beside them. You grow, not by avoiding failure, but by walking straight into it and surviving. You begin to feel something again. Not superiority, not numbness, but aliveness. If this resonated with you, you are not alone. Many of the brightest people grew up believing their worth was in their minds. But the truth is, your real strength has always been your capacity to adapt, to connect, to begin again. And you can begin again right now. Not by being the smartest person in the room, but by finally being yourself in it, because that's the only place where real life begins.